Woo! And this final one, with the news breaking out before NBA Finals, Adam Silver had a his press conference before the NBA Finals, like he does every year. And someone asked if the situation with the Ja Morant suspension was going to be happening. Is there any updates on it? Is anything going to be happening? And Adam Silver essentially said, with the help of the Players Association, we decided that at this point in time, the best course of action is to wait until after the NBA Finals because it's going to be disrespectful to the players. It's going to take away from the finals. So he said he's going to address that after the finals, before the draft. So that was expected when I heard them talking about the Ja Morant suspension potentially looming. And obviously, it's a situation that is touchy. Adam Silver said also that he believed in Ja Morant when they had the initial meeting, that there was a course of action here, that there was going to be change. So the NBA sitting there and seeing Ja Morant on live with another gun probably doesn't sit right with Adam Silver, probably doesn't sit right with teams around the league. It's going to be interesting to see how long they suspend him. Because the fact that they said, hey, we're not going to do this right now, he's already been suspended by the Memphis Grizzlies. So to sit there and see how long this potentially is going to take, and Woj mentioned the All-NBA, 17 is the game that he would be needing to miss in order to not make All-NBA. And I'm like, it's probably going to be more than that. The reason why is because the fact of the severity of it, they didn't address it during the playoffs, all playoffs. They didn't address it at the finals just now when he had a chance to speak with the media and possibly do something there. So I respect the fact that they sat there and said, hey, we're not going to do this right now. I do respect that. But the severity of this thing could be big. And I'm not saying it's going to be a year suspension because I don't think it's that. Is it going to be 50 games? Woo! That's tough. I don't think it's going to be 50 games. Could it be 40? Possibly. 17 is probably a safe number because that does eliminate him from All-NBA. He comes back and basically is just respect that he's trying to earn back from his team, from the fans, things of that nature. It could be 25 games. I think 25 games is solid enough to make an endpoint and say, hey, Ja, we're giving you a chance again to get your head on straight, get your shit right. Not continue to make these mistakes that you've been making. And people keep saying that he did nothing wrong. Reportedly, that they were outside of Atlanta, where it's okay to carry a gun and open carry and stuff like that. And they left the jewelry store in there in the car, just rapping, listening to music. And people keep saying he did nothing wrong, and that's possibly true in the law-wise. But the thing that people are forgetting, the things are that are conduct that is detrimental to the league, which the NBA is going to point at and say, hey, we don't like what you're doing here. We're going to need you to stop. And continuously continue to do it, especially when they gave you a pass. That's probably not going to sit right with them. So that's the one thing there. And it just brought me to say what Carmelo Anthony said when he was in trouble with David Stern. He said he was brought to the office one time in an interview and said, David Stern basically said, we know what you're doing. We know who you're with. We know who they're with. We know what they're doing. And Carmelo Anthony essentially said, that's when I knew the NBA was the feds. The NBA has worked hard to distance themselves from that type of behavior, right? Like there's the drug era that they fought through, the hip hop era that they fought through, the dress code initiative that they brought in, which rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. A lot of the fights that happen on the court, they try to distance themselves from all of that because it's just not beneficial to the game. As much as people like it, as much as people try to glorify it, that's not stuff people want to see. So to see Ja Morant in this situation, unfortunately, for Memphis, because Memphis is on the rise. They have Desmond Bain, Jaren Jackson Jr., Steven Adams, all these guys, Xavier Tillman, all these guys that are playing real well. The Memphis Grizzlies playing real well. So to see this here now transpire and potentially cost them wins, because Ja Morant's a winning player. Let's not get that out of the case right. So for him to continue to get these chances, I hope Ja Morant turns it around. Hope he returns to his team next season. And the Grizzlies are in the playoff hunt. They're in a contender hunt because that's where they should have been this year. And that's why I believe they're going to be next year if Ja Morant is available. But we have to see what the suspension is. We have to see what happens there. And hopefully it works out well for Ja, man. Like, we don't want Ja Morant off TV. We don't want Ja Morant off of the Grizzlies. We don't want Ja Morant off our TV screens. He's that impactful as a player. And whatever is happening off the court, hopefully he can sort it out so we can play basketball. That's all we want. We don't want all this other extra shit. We don't want Ja Morant suspended. We don't want him to be made an example of, which I think the NBA is going to do, because it's like, yo, we can't have this trickle down to anybody. Other teams are watching this. So this is something definitely that will be addressed. And it's going to be interesting to see how this picks up after the NBA Finals, because obviously it's going to be happening before the draft. So definitely going to be listening and on the keep out for that whenever the NBA Finals ends, and seeing what happens to Ja Morant, because it's going to get interesting. It's definitely going to get interesting, especially with their season being over. He's going to be serving a full suspension possibly. So it's going to be interesting to see how long it is. I don't think it's going to be a season. I hope it's not a season. So we'll see how that turns out. But that will do it for this episode of the Basketball Soapbox. Obviously, we're going to go game by game here in the NBA Finals. Obviously, continuing with ring takes. I believe Brian's going to be on vacation a little bit, so we'll see how that works with timing. The Bloodline storyline has picked up again. But continuing with the NBA Finals, more news is going to come out. Hopefully, have some guests on soon. And continue to talk this basketball, man. I love talking this basketball. So much news, so much basketball happening. Never stops. That's what the NBA has done over the past couple of years, created this 24/7 news cycle that we're going to get some type of NBA content at least every day, at least in talking points. So we'll continue with that. But don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Continue to check out other videos on the channel. Continue to check out the playlist as well. They're attached as well, especially at the start of my videos. So be sure to check those out and get more basketball. Continue to comment, and subscribe, share. And thank you for joining me on this one. And until next time.